From the beautiful Colombian woman who takes revenge on a street stalker, to the police officers who bully and trample innocent people, here are the sequences where people did not know they were being filmed. In 2014, a Brazilian man had invited a bunch of friends over, and they gathered to watch a soccer match between Brazil and Chile. It was a World Cup match, and the stakes were high. Indeed, Brazil was the host country of the tournament and had to make a good campaign. Moreover, it was an elimination match. One of the two countries would qualify for the quarterfinals. Naturally, this group of friends, like all Brazilians that day, was looking forward to a victory for their country. There were 3 or 4 of them, and they couldn't stay in place. They were overexcited and followed avidly the progress of the match. This match between Brazil and Chile was going to go extra time and then to penalties. One can imagine that this match must have lasted an eternity for these fervent supporters who had gone through all the emotions. But the final result made them happy. Their anxiety ended in joy, and the whole country was celebrating Brazil's qualification that day. But for these 3 friends, during the penalty shootout, a circumstance unrelated to the game had suddenly distressed them. No soccer fan would want to experience the upset they did. After Brazil's goalkeeper, Julio Cesar, stopped a Chilean shot, the 3 spectators went wild with joy. They exult, jump, and shout. One of them passionately embraced the television set. Then, seeing a Chilean player on the screen, he hit the screen so hard that it broke. The incident cooled them down a lot. Anyway, the session was coming to an end. Brazil was about to qualify. To keep up with the short minutes that remained, all they had to do was listen to the clamor from the neighborhood. This short clip is taken in North America by a horse owner. The weather was frigid and a thick blanket of snow covered the surrounding woods. However, in spite of the hostile climate, the farmer had the idea to offer 2 of his horses a 15-minute walk. They had stayed too long in a closed place, and a short gallop could do them good. So we see him pull the lock of the building and open the way to the horse, which does not make to be pressed to leave. A thick sheet covered him and protected him as best he could. Next to him was another horse covered with a blue cloth. The 2 horses, separated by a metal fence, were going at the same trot. The owner was pleased to see his horses stretching and coming to life in the middle of this bleak and desolate landscape. But a comical turn of events soon disenchanted him. The cold was so intense that both horses were discouraged, and as if they were one body, they stopped and ran to the stables simultaneously. All things considered, they preferred not to be free in this nasty weather. The owner was surely surprised and amused by this sudden change. He will try again another day. In the province of Ontario, Canada, on January 4, 2021, an incident would entertain the afternoon of a Canadian couple. The images come from the husband's phone. It all started when he heard a series of suspicious noises coming from outside, a car stopping, and footsteps approaching the front door. As the street was deserted, our man had no trouble perceiving these noises. If he was so suspicious and attentive, it was because he knew that a certain practice was becoming more and more frequent among Canadian bandits: the theft of packages. The perpetrators of these robberies are called porch pirates. They steal the packages that delivery people leave at the doorstep of the recipients. Our man thought he was dealing with one of these criminals, and he wanted to know for sure. He suddenly opened the door, and his doubt was confirmed. He saw a man in a red cap interrupt his action and immediately flee. Since the thief's car was facing the door, the occupant didn't need to move to get a shot of the license plate. But while the occupant stood still and shouted at the robber, "You're caught! The police are on the way!" The robber tried to get away as quickly as possible, but a comical incident kept him on the spot. In his haste, the thief did not take care of the obstacle formed by a snowbank, and the sedan, while rolling on it, was completely immobilized. Luck was on the side of the honest man. The thief would not go anywhere. Nevertheless, he multiplied his maneuvers to free his car. We can see him clearing the snow around the wheel, getting back into his seat, and then accelerating several times. He is desperately agitated. The couple took the opportunity to insult him. They were too outraged by the attempted theft to find the situation funny. For many minutes, the thief was fidgeting and not giving himself a break. The couple felt sorry for the unnecessary agitation, and the man even took the liberty of advising him on how to free the car. The police, meanwhile, were on their way, and they arrived in no time. This is where the sequence ends. This adventure determined the couple to redouble their vigilance. As for the criminal, we know from the police report that he was not a first-timer. Indeed, an investigation established that he had previously been involved in a fraud case. The serious facts you are about to see take place at the end of May 2019, although they were not revealed to the general public until December 2021, following an investigation by the newspaper Liberation. The scene takes place in Saint-Ouen, in the department of Seine-Saint-Denis in France. It all begins with the appearance of several police officers who, of course, are unaware that they are being filmed by surveillance cameras installed in the front of a grocery store. These policemen do not look malicious at first sight. However, they have well-decided intentions to make spend a horrible quarter of an hour to young people of the city, chosen at random. Their attention stops on Jonathan, who is quietly leaning against the wall. They order him to show his identity papers, to which he answers that he has only his truck driver's card on him. The policeman ordered him to stand up and let them search him. So far, so good. But suddenly, one of the officers throws surreptitiously at Jonathan's feet a bag of grass, which he pretends to discover a few seconds later before picking it up. Jonathan is accused of being a possessor. The situation escalates when, during a news search, one of the officers grabs Jonathan by the legs and throws him violently to the ground. Plainclothes policemen run to him. Further on, a young man named Luc Main, who had his phone confiscated a few minutes earlier because he was trying to film this incredible scene, now demanded that it be returned to him. But the policemen are not listening. One of them strikes him in the face. There follows a general brawl, which ends very badly for the young Luc Main, who finds himself on the ground, neutralized, strangled, and electrified by blows of a taser. All this chaos came together in the end. Luc Main and Jonathan were charged with contempt, rebellion, and violence. The police had succeeded in their task, but as their stupidity equals their wickedness, they had not spotted the surveillance cameras before executing their plot. The two victims filed a complaint, and all these images supported their version of events. Without this footage, the police officers would never have been brought to justice, and it goes without saying that the innocence of these complainants is now well established. On the other hand, these bad policemen have been indicted and placed under judicial control. Fortunately, these cases are very rare because in the majority of cases, the police officers always do their job well. Shortly after midnight, the surveillance camera of Salahuddin Ali, a father in Birmingham, England, recorded a disturbing sequence. While everyone else was sleeping, a stranger stole his cat, which had been sitting quietly on the wall of his garden. Poor Ali had only one desire: to find his poor pet, which he had seen growing up. In this case, the images were a precious help, because all the circumstances of the kidnapping appeared there. At 1:40 a.m., a woman stops in front of the cat, nicknamed Gucci. She stands in front of him for quite a long time. She caresses him, cuddles him, seems to talk to him, and tries to attract him. The behavior of this woman is all the more strange that she makes several turns in the district and passes at least 3 times in front of this cat, which fascinates her. We can imagine Ali's anger when she sees these images. The cat, on its side, is imperturbable, immobile. He wonders what this mad woman who sticks to his paws and lights cigarettes under his nose wants from him. Finally, after an hour of coming and going and repeated caresses, the unknown woman takes the cat and disappears in the night. It was for Ali a painful scene. He was upset, indignant. He later said that he was angry that someone could steal other people's pets without any shame. But the story had a happy ending. The broadcasting of these images allowed the cat Gucci to be found a few days later, several kilometers away from the house. A private individual had informed Ali of the place where he could be found. The kidnapper, who obviously had no malicious intent, had no plans to keep the cat around for long, but this disappearance was painful for all of Ali's family, and especially for the children, who cried a lot. All of them lost sleep during the whole time of the search. Anyone who owns a cat will understand their sadness and distress. Finally, the cat returned home. It is likely that since then, Ali has made arrangements to make his garden more secure. The woman you are about to see has a proud character, and many will salute her boldness. The images come from a surveillance camera installed inside a tire store, and the scene takes place in Cali, a Colombian city. We see 2 characters, a Colombian woman walking alone in an alley, and the tire dealer, who is barely visible, sitting at the entrance of his store, mechanically performing a manual task. This woman was walking quietly towards her destination. The subject desires something. Like all women walking down the street, she wanted to make her way without attracting attention and without being subjected to unwelcome and obscene remarks. Unfortunately, this wish was quickly thwarted when she passed this tire store. Indeed, as soon as he saw her, the merchant, hardly occupied by his mechanical work, addressed insulting remarks to her. The passerby's first reaction was to ignore him and continue on her way, but the ignoble provocateur called her again. The Colombian, impatient, stopped, turned towards this coarse animal, and went to meet him with a firm step. During a short moment, the merchant believed to see, surely for the first time of his life, that the indecency and the disrespect were going to get him a success near a woman. He saw a woman coming towards him. The spectacle was new for him, and one can see his stupor. But this stupor turned into irritation. In fact, the woman, unfortunately, used to threats and aggressions in the street, had a pepper spray in her possession, and the unacceptable insolence of this merchant had determined her to use it. He only understood the situation when his victim burned his eyes. Perhaps accustomed to the fearful silence of all women he insulted in this same street, he had not imagined that one of them would make him pay for his repulsive behavior. One can imagine what satisfaction this young Colombian woman felt. These images, as we said, come from the camera installed in the store. If these images circulate in the press, it is because the merchant made them public. What could be the interest of publishing this humiliating sequence? Perhaps he considers himself the victim of the story and wants to take the case to court. Even if, generally, the law only allows the use of these bombs in case of real and imminent danger, we doubt very much that this young woman is in the least worried by the justice. As for the stalker, his ridicule has crossed the Colombian borders. He is the laughingstock of everyone, and that is what he deserves. This is the end of our video, where you can see some funny sequences where people did not know they were being filmed. As usual, don't forget to leave your opinion in the comments section.